So we all know Bo. He was a legendary Miami Dolphin. You watch him on Dolphins coverage on CBS4 now, and I think it's tough for him sometimes to contain his disappointment / frustration sometimes on the post-game show. I was watching last week. He was talking with, he was at the Mike McDaniel press conference. He asked several questions. Then I think, who was it? Maybe Jalen Phillips had joined you in the hallway, Bo. But it's tough for you to watch them collapse to a team like the Carolina Panthers, no?
It is. It is. Look, by the way, that's not the guy that's going to be in the Super Bowl that the music that came in. Is that Bad Bunny that you threw out there for me?
Yeah, Jimmy said you specifically requested that song.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Tell Jimmy I said thank you for that.
You're welcome.
He's got a good presence, Jimmy. Really good. Anyway.
He's a work in progress. He's a work in progress.
Yeah, I get frustrated. I just, for me, look, so next year will be the 50th year that I've been associated with the Miami Dolphins in one way or another, and so it's in my blood, and I just, when they play games like that, when they play games like that, or which are really hard to grasp, I get angry, I get frustrated, and for the rest of the week I walk around with a black cloud over my head. So yeah, it's but I tried to be polite. I try to.
No, you're very. I can see that because I mean, when Anthony Weaver preaches violence, like that's the way you played. That's the way your defense played, and I don't think your defense.
Yeah, but let me ask this: isn't that the way that the good teams in this league play? The good teams, right? Give me show me one of the top teams in the league that on defense doesn't play violent football.
You know what, Bo? That brings me to my next question, because I was going to ask it in a very nice.
You didn't even ask me one question yet, so it's not your next question.
Oh, that brings me to the question after Hawks.
So everybody's a work in progress, Bo. We're all works in progress.
Bo, your association to the Dolphins started with the Killer Bees. It's you, Bo, Baumhauer, Betters, Brushinski, Blackwoods. I know a number of them dudes. I've been around them. I've heard stories. Who on this team could have played with the Killer Bees, if you see what I'm getting after? Because I don't know if those guys exist right now down in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, I don't think I could put my finger on one, but I'm not saying that they couldn't. It's just the style of defense that they play these days. It's I mean, we were a very disciplined defense. We were, I see these pass rushers now, and and look, this league has become a league of, get to the quarterback, any way you can. And so you got guys doing spin moves inside and losing contain and getting out of gaps and this and stuff. But we didn't play that way. We adhered to our rules, and that's what we were. And look, we were a pretty physical football team, but I think we were a team that was disciplined in where you had to be, and the concept of the defense you're playing. To me, I look at it, and Channing, so you see it's kind of going across the league. They're playing this defense where they put two big defensive tackles in the gaps in the guards or on the guards, right? And then you put two stand-up guys that are / outside linebackers / edge guys / pass rushers, and then they try to play defense that way. And to me, it creates a lot of holes and a lot of I don't know, space. And the linebackers have to fill gaps and stuff like that, and it's a little strange to me. So, but I still think those guys have they been in a system like ours. I think Jalen Phillips. I think you look at I think the Zach Sealer. I think Jordan Brooks. those guys could play in it, but they're not given a scheme to me that, look, we were a team that believed in, this was we were a bend but don't break defense. We would have guys, so the concept in ours was, look, make them play, make more plays to get down the field, because at some point we're going to get a turnover, or we're going to make some change. And so, the more opportunities they had, the more we had to disrupt it. And so it's, but I don't know what's going on with them right now. I don't know how that defense, it's a little foreign to me, to be honest with you.
And Bo, is Anthony Weaver kind of hamstrung because of the fact that he can't load the box or do too many exotic blitzes, because now you're one-on-one with those corners, and Jack Jones got ate up on Sunday. Like, is he hamstrung with his playbook because of his personnel?
Well, yes, he is, and I think there's a couple reasons. Look, you got two cornerbacks that weren't even on the team. At least one of them wasn't on the team the last preseason game. And then you got guys that are injured. You had Storm Duck, who was going to be their best cornerback, and he was a free undrafted free agent the prior year, and then he goes down, and then you got Kenneth Grant, you got Jordan Phillips, and you got this guy Zeke Biggins that they brought in, and I think they're going to be good, but you're just throwing them to the wolves. They're just, they're having trouble. Kenneth Grant, you gets pushed around pretty good at times, which you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't expect if you looked at him. But I think they got very young. They're very young on both sides of the ball, and you're like, look at the offense. Savaianai is having those issues, and and some of these other guys. So, but from the Anthony Weaver side, yeah, I think that he's. I don't think that he can run his defense the way he wants to run his defense, especially if your two middle guys that are supposed to be, quote, run stoppers are playing 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and not in the offensive side of the line of scrimmage, 3 yards behind the defensive side of the line of scrimmage.
The wrong way.
The wrong direction. I've always said, I always say this: if you're a down lineman, there's only 4 things you can do. 3 things are good, and 1 thing is bad. You can go straight, left, or right, but you can't go backwards. Backwards is bad.
Bo, I heard you talking a little bit with Joe about this in the morning, and you brought up Kenneth Grant, you brought up Savaianai. They haven't been reliable, to say the least, this early in the season. And just to dive in a little bit deeper on your thought process there, is it because, look, ultimately they're young guys, they're put in tough spots to succeed because they're basically being put in spots where they have to succeed immediately and fill massive holes? Or ultimately, does the standard just change? Your first, second round pick, your team needs you to produce. You're taking that high for a reason. Like, is the standard, they should be better flat out because, hey, they're taking that early and you need them to succeed?
No, look, there's a reason that they're having to play because the franchise, look, they were fine for the last 3 years when you had Sealer, and then 1 year had Calais Campbell, and the 2 years before that, or 3 years before that, you had Christian Wilkins. No problem there, but now they don't have those guys. So you've got Sealer, who kind of benefited from Christian and who was a Christian and
Campbell, Calais,
and so now Sealer's got to be Calais Campbell and Christian Wilkins, and he's playing with guys that aren't at the level that he was when they're. I know that's not making a lot of sense, but the point is you've got to play those guys, so look at what happened last year with Patrick Paul. Patrick Paul comes in, second round draft pick. He's got Teron Armstead there, and so he gets and Teron played I don't know how many games, but anyway, so he got to be tutored by Calais by Teron until Teron got to the point where he couldn't play anymore. So then Patrick goes in and he gets up like 350 snaps, right? So now he comes back as a second-year player, and look at what he's doing. He's certainly the best offensive line, unless maybe with Brewer on that line. But these guys that have come in, Savaianaya, Kenneth Long, Jordan Phillips, they haven't had those repetitions to get to the point where he is, and so they've basically just thrown him to the wolves, And look, Channing, you know this. The first time you go in as a rookie, and you're going to see blocks that you've never even seen, you've never heard of, you've never played against, and it takes you a while to figure it out. I heard something. I think it was Kenneth Grant or maybe it was Phillips said about when we get down there, we're looking sideways to see which way we should go. When what they should be doing is just following where the blocker takes them to the ball. Isn't that defensive concept, Channing?
Exactly what it is.
The blocker that's trying to block you the blocker that's blocking you will take you to the ball if you stay with them. Right?
Yep. They're going to try to make you do something, and you have to fight against it because they're doing their job. So don't let them do their job. It's very simple.
Yeah. Yeah. But but they're not. They're only seeing it. Some of these games they go in, and every team's got maybe a little bit different blocking scheme, and so they're seeing something new every day, every week. I think they're going to be good players. I think all of them are going to be good players. But this to me for them is a year of learning, and you can tell right now that it's a hard lesson being taught.
Well, no one expected that though, right, Bo? I mean, I don't know what your expectations were for the season.
I think everybody thought. I think everyone thought you're going to bring in Kenneth Long, and he's going to be a very good player because he was a very good player at Michigan. And even Savai and I. Oh, look, although he had changed positions a couple times to get there, you expected him, and so I think that was a lot. I think that was a lot to expect of those guys. Look at Chop Robinson last year. Chop comes in, everyone expects him to be this guy that's going to be setting the world on fire. It took him half a season before he became the Chop that ended up with six sacks. And even he this year is struggling because the scheme he's playing this year isn't the same he's playing last year. So I don't blame these guys for their physical talent, and I do think they're going to be good. And I think in the Dolphins, and for Anthony Weaver, he has no other choice. Who's he going to put in there? I mean, who's going to put in those two spots where you need two run stuffers in there? You don't have anymore.
And offensively, Bo, what happened to the creativity? What happened to the reverses, the shuttle passes, the no-look passes, the flea flickers, the throwback screens? Like, what happened to McDaniel's creativity? We're just running normal NFL plays now.
Yeah.
We're not used to seeing fun stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I tell you, the game before the Jets game, you saw a little bit that they ran that little reverse where he tossed the ball from behind his back and got him out and then they'd get him out and sprint him out and get Tariq crossing across. You saw a little bit of it then, but I'm with you. I think I don't know what the number was last year. I think it was like somewhere around maybe 60% of the passes were thrown behind the line of scrimmage. You throw those little out passes to Achane, and then when Jonnu Smith came in there, Jonnu Smith probably caught at least half of his passes behind the line of scrimmage, behind some kind of a screen or not. So, they're not throwing the ball down the field. They're not, And again, Chan, you look at what happened with Darren Waller. Darren Waller, first half of the game, was killing those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, running right down the middle of the field, catching footballs, and then that dried up in the second half.
Dried up, disappeared, completely disappeared. Kim Bokamper, we love talking football with you, Bo. Real quick, because we're out of time. Do they win on Sunday? Do they get this thing going?
Well, I hope so, because the Chargers are beat up, and then they got some players. They got some players hurt. They got backups playing, but just look the last week, they had a backup running back. He ran for about 285 yards on us, or whatever the hell it was. So you can't count on guys being out, not being able to play. So I think it's going to be a tough game for them. it's going to be look at it may come down to Tua and Herbert, which is the best quarterback.
Ooh.
All right, Bo. Well, we'll leave it on that cliffhanger.
hey, Bo.
I thought it was good. I thought it was very positive with my message today, though.
That was good. It was. You were very positive today. You were.
Hey, Bo, you got me so scared. I went to your spot on Pine Island a couple of days ago, and they gave me a free Diet Coke. And I was looking around to make sure you weren't around because I knew you would never give me a free Diet Coke.
No. I'd give you a gift card, and you could buy your own Diet Coke.
We'll see you, Bo. We appreciate your time.
All right. Take care.
Kim Bokamper.